Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Phil Rice. Welcome to the Magic Space Wizard Hangout variety show, I guess you might call it. And I've just decided to jump on a live and say hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here. And yeah, I've got some time to kill. Haven't been. And got the other video playing. We'll turn that off. So yeah, cool. Anyway, so what's everyone been doing? I don't know. If you're in the live chat, throw it in. I'm here for questions. If you're working through the initiation process and you need a hand, I'll do my best to help you out. Yeah, I've basically just decided to jump on, and I've got a bunch of housekeeping to do. So maybe you just want a friendly, warm voice in the background while you carry on doing your things. I'll keep talking and hopefully keep you engaged. But I've got a bunch of comments and things from the YouTube channel that I need to attend to, and so I've got some memes as well, and we'll just start hanging out. Really, what's everyone doing? What's happening? You guys doing well? It's pretty nuts out there, eh? It's shopping season. My gosh, is it shopping season? I'm just going to turn the fan on. Hang on. Great. All right. Thank you for your patience. So yeah, what's been happening? It's very warm here. We are pretty much in summer, and it's probably warmer than it usually is, and that's kind of interesting. And yeah, so yeah, cool. So I've got to ask, how are you guys finding the collective? I mean, I don't know about you guys, right? But I'm pretty sensitive to the goings on in the neighborhood, and I mean, I've just been out for a walk and hanging out, and pretty frenetic up there. Everyone trying to get their Christmas shopping done, I guess, and stock up. And we're still a couple of weeks away, but it's a thing, right? And I've noticed, especially especially in the early stages and intermediate level of training the qigong, or the third step, basically Barden's version of qigong. You kind of start to feel, it starts to awaken that feeling sense, and it takes a bit to sort of get that under control, and can do. Some people are obviously going to be maybe a little more sensitive than others, and it's funny because I used to be a brick, yeah. But you can train sensitivity, and it's obviously a very important skill. Some would say critical. But yeah, kind of glad to be out of the mayhem. Fortunately, it's not like a big shopping center, our little village. It's just a little, a nice little main street. There's a lot of retail shops there, but we haven't got any big department stores or anything like that. Okay. Let's get some memes rocking. Do. Okay. Oh, where's my memes gone? What? That's no good. Gee whiz. Just trying to sort these memes out for you guys. But yeah, certainly getting warmer here. I'm guessing it's probably getting cooler in the Northern Hemisphere, which is great. Fire element training is a lot easier when it's warm. But this is kind of where the other end of the scale is a great thing to train, because if you can naturally cool yourself using water element, by, pulling it in from the ambient environment, or, really being able to zero in on it so that you can, there you are, gotcha, and start pulling it in. These are good skills to have when the weather changes. All right, that one there. Cool. So these are quite nice, aren't they? They're quite thoughtful memes. Oh, hey, how you doing? Thanks for joining in. Okay, let's see. Those are some pretty good ones. Trying to find some good memes for you guys here. I downloaded a whole stack of them. Some of them probably won't be very metaphysical, to be honest. But I really just want to jump on and have a bit of fun. It's pretty serious, like it's supposed to be a fun time of the year, and everyone's looking trying to get the sales and things. So oh, that's pretty funny. Let's do that. Oh, that's beautiful. All right, let's do that. Oh, that's pretty funny. Let's do that one. And oh no, not that one. That should probably do. That should probably do. That should probably do. Oh no, I won't put that one in. Sorry, I'm just being very picky here. I get sent a lot of memes, and yeah, some of them are just what they are. Oh, I'm going to put that one up because it's funny. Oh, geez, AI art is hard to look at sometimes, but it's... Oh, that's a good one too. Righty. That'll do. Cool. All right. Let's get some memes rocking. So yeah, just you guys got any questions? Throw them into chat. It's lovely to see you all. Thank you, Ericy99. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining in. I'm just getting warmed up here, guys. I'll be around for a bit, probably 90 minutes to 120 maybe. We'll see how it goes. Here we go. All right, meme time. All right, I'm just going to make sure that again, I have a lot of people dropping me memes, and some of them I just don't know why they think I'd be interested in these, but some of them are pretty funny. So this is not a completely metaphysical hangout. This one, I think this is just if I was playing Hermes, I'm Hermes the trickster today. I'm Hermes the humorous me. Hermes, humor me. Oh, yeah, that's pretty funny. Let's do that one. Okay, all right, that's pretty good. Have you guys seen any of the new, there's a few new interesting TV shows out at the moment, or you might be like, Phil, I'm far too busy practicing to watch television, and good for you if that's the case. I like to watch stuff that kind of fuels my imagination, and, I love Star Wars, and I love Dune. And even though, some of the newer stuff is, it's all right. The new Dune stuff's pretty good. I will give that. But I'm watching the new Dune TV show at the moment, and it's all right. It's all right. The new Star Wars Skeleton Crew, it's all right. It's all right. It's fun. Kind of reminds me of the new Skeleton Crew Star Wars show. It's fun because it's kids, and they find a buried spaceship, and they go on. There's a droid, and I think it's Nick Frost who voices it. And they go off on this crazy adventure, and it's full of tropes, but it's just a lot of fun. It's been called kind of Goonies in space, and but it's just fun. Always a little curious about how Disney like to add things in, but yeah, I mean, for now, it's pretty fun. Oh, yeah, June is great. Yeah, it's funny, eh? Like, I never knew about the 3 miniseries. There's because there's obviously the David Lynch movie from the 80s, and then in the 90s or the 2000s, I think it's the 2000s, there's a miniseries, and there's 3 of them, and they're like an hour and a half long each, and it's good. It's really high quality. I think it's got John Hurt in it in the first episode. He might be Leto Atreides, and then I don't know if there's really too many other famous people in it, but it's pretty solid. And it's epic, and it goes into Children of June. I think it goes, his sister, and then towards the end, it's pretty damn good. And then, the new movies are obviously pretty epic. I mean, that second movie, man, far out. Like, I wasn't expecting that second movie just blew me away. It was so good. I thought they wasted Christopher Walken a bit, but hey, whatever. But yeah, obviously I think there's going to be a third one, isn't there? And yeah, I'm looking forward to that, really looking forward to it, because the first 2 were very well done. But yeah, has anyone seen June Prophecy, the new TV show? What do you think? It's very different to the movies, I have to say, but it's epic. Like, they're putting the money in to get the high level of production. All right, where are we? With preview. All right. Who's up for a meme then? Okay. Somebody's messaging me. Why are you messaging me? We're holding a magic space wizard show. Who's calling me on the meme machine? Oh, really? Yeah, cool. Eric, says I'm going to start it soon. Oh, the TV show. Yeah, I think it's all right. It's modern TV shows, and and things have got they've got a familiar theme and messaging in them that sort of runs through a lot of them, and I'm sure a lot of people are aware of that. And but yeah, I have to say, like, the special effects, and yeah, it's kind of, yeah, I don't know. I'll just look, I won't say anything. No spoilers here, but it's watchable, I guess. It's not hugely engaging. That's what I reckon anyway, but it's watchable. You might be like, this is the best thing ever, man. Awesome. All right, let's see how this works. So let's go there. Okay, like I said, these memes are not necessarily magical, metaphysical, spiritual, meditational, and these types of things. But then really, what isn't everything made of the same base material or comes from the same place? So I guess it's just a matter of perspective. Where are we? There we go. Ta-da! Okay. This is quite deep, isn't it? Don't burn your opportunities for a temporary comfort. So, this is a time of year when we're all kind of kicking back, maybe, or we're going nuts trying to get everything done for those special days. But I'm kind of looking back on the year and reflecting on, I guess, opportunities that have popped up, and how maybe I could have played things a little better. It's constantly on my mind. How did I play? At the end of the day, do a bit of a reflection on what took place. And I have to say, I don't think I did too bad. There's definitely some things I could have done better. Sometimes I'll just flick through some of the older videos, especially the interviews, and I'm, listening to myself go, oh man, that's hard to watch. But the good news is that it's given me pause for reflection. So, I'll just keep working on it. It's almost like I've got to say something, I guess, in between guests or whatever. And so I'll just make a bunch of noises. Oh, that's good water. It's nice, cool water. But yeah, and I think too, I don't know if anyone else has noticed it, but this is a pretty magic time of the year. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's just because there's lots of traditions that are getting ready for the festive season. And so maybe that can be like an amplifier for our practice. But I have been, in the last month, I have caught up with about 5 people that I haven't seen 7 years plus, up to a decade, maybe even a little bit longer. And even over the weekend, I bumped into some people that I have not talked to for a very long time, and 2 days in a row, even a couple on Saturday and then another friend on Sunday. It's so bizarre. But yeah, I've also been offered some pretty incredible opportunities as well. It's got me thinking about, how I play next year, what kind of way I kind of point myself. I mean, I'd like to think that I'm immune to the Gregorian calendar, but it's kind of fun to play along with it, isn't it? There's those waves, those collective waves. I talked about this in the last live stream about, when everyone's making New Year's resolutions and that early sort of like, motivation surge at the beginning of the year when everyone's going to the gym and giving up smoking and all those types of things. And you kind of feel that and hook into it. And some will last and some will, the energy will just go, yeah, like this. But, you know how to sort of pick up on it. You can basically tune into that initiating energy, and help you kick you over the start line on a project or on a new practice. And I think, many of us who are practices will be going, okay, well, this is probably not a bad time of the year to look at my practice. Maybe it's time to change it up a bit or reformat it or make a new practice sheet or, just add some new things. And there's some things I really want to get under the belt next year. There were some things that I was planning on having completed by the end of this year, which I have not. And if anything, it's not so much the things, it's more that I need to update my time management and my goal setting and go, okay, what's a better way to do this? Because it's not very satisfying when you've got some sort of goals and you don't meet them. And for whatever reason, but if you can identify what it is, then, you can take steps. I just wanted to put this one in because I thought it was pretty hilarious. There's another one I've got actually. I don't know if it's in the phone though, but basically it's a guy sitting on the bus or the subway train, and he's this big dude. He's got these gold chains on, and he's got this. He's got his phone in his hand, and he's got a handset plugged into it, like one of these ones on the screen here, but it's all gold. So it's basically like a hands-free handset. Well, it's not hands-free, but yeah, so basically like a handset that plugs into your phone and it's gold. It looks real, looks pretty gangster. But yeah, gee whiz, imagine back in the day, telling people like, yeah, we're going to have phones that can, I mean, even when the iPhone first came back out, people, it was pretty amazing, touchscreen stuff. But then, of course, the apps started taking off, and now all the filters, you can make yourself look like someone else, and convincingly, or you can even merge your face, so it's kind of a bit of this and a bit of that. It's actually quite astounding how far we've come with tech, isn't it? The hardware, I'm guessing that there's a general sort of like ascension process for hardware. They drip feed a little step each year sort of thing. But the software stuff, oh my gosh, the AI, it's crazy, right? Okay. All right. What do we got? What's next? Oh, this is fun. I love this. I love this sort of stuff. Sort of humanizes daily activities, doesn't it? And what about you guys? Have you guys got a tea that you like? I was going to have a tea, but it's actually pretty warm here. So I've just gone for some water and some frozen water. That's my special blend for the day. I got to say, there's a tea that I found here. Somebody gave me some, and it's, oh man, it's actually a nighttime tea. It's called, wait for it. It's called Snore and Peace. It's like a before bed tea to help you sort of get you settled. And but oh my gosh, you could drink it during the day. It might make you tired or something, or relax. But oh, so good. Problem is that like anything, if you start binging on nice things, you soon become a bit immune to them. That's why we practice asceticism, isn't it? Okay, I'm just going to have one. Just one. I have to say, though, that looking at this image now, I'm kind of having like, it kind of it makes me think of the local swimming pool. Well, let's keep moving on. All right. Oh, this is fun. I don't know all of these artists. I guess it's everyone's take on the Christmas tree. What about you guys? Where's everyone at in the world? Do you guys have Christmas trees, or do you have, your own tradition? I'm pretty easy and open with it. I like this time of year. Getting caught up in the traditions, I find it a bit strange nowadays. I've got family who are into it, and that's cool. It's nice to hang out with them while they're doing the thing, but it was weird, I kind of got switched off by a lot of these sorts of end of year celebrations years ago. But it's nice seeing family, because it's one of the lovely things, At least it's not, catching up with people at weddings and funerals. Well, definitely wet funerals, because you see everyone at funerals. But I do, I guess I like the festive spirit too. Like, we've got a pretty active main street in our little village up the road here, and they all dress everything up. And my family owns a little mini shopping mall up there, and that gets all dressed up, and they make it look very nice. And it's just nice, I guess. It's a lovely time of year. And isn't it strange, how tense everything is leading up to this day? Reminds me of a story of a mate of mine who got married, and he was chill and sweet all the way up to the day of the wedding, and his missus was full on bridezilla. Lovely lady, but yeah, she was like super focused on, this is how I want it, this is the thing, this is what's going to happen. And so he kind of just let her do it. And then on the day, she was chill as. She was like, yep, everything's squared away, it's sweet, I'm ready to relax. Him, however, he had gone from like, yeah, it's all good. He had guys holding him up because he was passing out from, I guess, stress. And I was telling this to a friend the other day, actually. A guy I used to work with was telling me that the night before his friend's wedding, he was the best man, or one of the groomsmen. He said, we didn't have a wild night out the night before. I think this was back in the day when the bachelor party was the night before. I don't think they do that nowadays. It's too many bad experiences. They have it, another night. But he said that, the guy woke up on the morning of his wedding, and all of his bodily hair had fallen out, and the guy had lost everything, his eyebrows, everything. Basically all the stress. Pretty wild story. But the guy that told me this, he saw it firsthand, and he's a pretty trustworthy dude. I wouldn't, quite happy to go along with it. I've heard of stranger things, but that was pretty strange. Waking up and all your bodily hair has fallen off and laying on the bed on the day of your wedding. So I don't know whether the guy had a nice big mop and a beard and a goatee and that, but he would have woken up without eyelashes, eyebrows, the whole lot just apparently fell out. So, all right, what do we got next? You ready for the next one? So if you can't see it, hang on, I'll see if I can zoom in. Hang on, that one, I think. Username admin, password admin, and there's a key underneath the mat there. That's pretty funny. It's like, you kind of got it right, but And you know, and as this world gets more and more digital, you kind of got to keep you know, you got to stay on top of all the security things, you know, like it's actually can make you quite busy. Like I don't have a spreadsheet or anything on my computer with all my passwords on. That's like, you just don't do that. I've got a notebook hidden away somewhere when I need it, but I mean, I've got so many. I mean, you're probably like me. You've probably got 1,000 different softwares and apps and things, and you know, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to replace my phone at some point. I'm actually dreading that more than when I have to get a new computer, because the computer's pretty straightforward. You know, you can just kind of start loading stuff on, but with a phone, you kind of, I guess it's such a personal device that you want it, you know, you want it set up ready to go with all the addresses and, you know, all that sort of stuff's pretty easy. It's just getting all the apps on, and sure, you can set it up from a backup, but nobody really wants to do that. Everyone likes to set it up from scratch, right? I don't know why, but I felt like I had to share this. And I don't know if it's AI or not. I wonder if the horse is AI, because to be fair, I don't think a horse would be that comfortable that close to a fire like that. This is just one of these wacky ones that showed up, and I was like, let's just put it in the feed. So you guys found any cool new practices, any cool new authors, cool new teachers, cool new videos? Throw them in the chat or in the comments on the YouTube underneath there. If there's anything super cool you found, let's share it around if you want. Oh, have you guys seen the new video from Bob at 60 Skills? He's made a video on paw breathing and building the ball. Man, you want to get that one. Just go to 60 Skills on the YouTube, and he's got a new instructional video there. I think it's from his course. And it's about building the ball, and it's just very well explained. It's very easy, straightforward, and you can get straight into it. I've got to say, though, these videos that Jake at Mystery College is dropping at the moment is he's doing some great stuff. Great stuff. Very well researched. Yeah, I like this one. Let's just sit this one for a bit. This is almost like a like a bit of a navel gazer, kind of like. I can sort of see how he would have made it, but it's quite a contemplative sort of image, this one, isn't it? Where's the comments? I've just been observing all of the drone buzz in the English-speaking world from afar. Drone. Can you give us a bit more context there, Zane? I appreciate the comment. Thank you, brother. Is this in regards to the actual tech, is it? Or I'd love to just, if you could fill us in a bit more there. I must say, I'm seeing more drones, just saying, around here. Like you can hear you sitting outside having a cup of tea, and the next thing you hear this, lots more people getting them, and they're getting far cheaper to make and buy. I don't think we've got any kind of drone delivery service here in New Zealand yet. That would be, I honestly don't know how that's going to work, to be honest. I'm sure someone will find a way. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, right. Okay, so there's been, I believe, some big events this year, some congressional type hearings or Senate hearings, whatever, and they all just kind of end with a bit of an anticlimax, is the thing I've just observed over the years. It's like we're all waiting on the US to go, yeah, aliens exist, blah, blah, blah. And it's like all these other countries in the world are pretty hip with it. Someone was telling me they went to South America. I think it was Peru. And, these things flying around in the sky and, they're not drones apparently. And someone's like saying to the locals, oh man, check this out. And the locals like, yeah, bro, that's every day here. It's just par for the course. Apparently in some countries, if you haven't seen a ghost or had some kind of sort of experience, you're in the minority as well. But yeah, all of this, anytime that the mainstream start talking about UAP or UFO stuff, what makes it onto the mainstream news? And at the moment, it's this Luis Elizondo fella. And, I'm sure that, there's a large portion of his story that is, what I'm basically saying here is that it's almost like this guy is being allowed to share this information. And I think there's a book too. And obviously, one of my favorite commentators, if you haven't come across him, his name is Richard Dolan. And he's a very discerning commentator on this topic. And I found him to be quite reasonable in a fantastical environment, because some people will just sort of take stuff and roll with it and that. And yeah. Yeah, great point, John. I think that this is one of the, I would say that this is largely correct for probably the largest part of, say, the Christian community is that, the idea of, extraterrestrials, UAPs, beings from outer space and all that kind of thing. They may either have a different view of it. They're not actually physical beings. Maybe they're, the angel and demon conversation. Maybe they're just not real, or maybe, whatever. But I haven't come across too many people who identify as Christians who are open to having the conversation about extraterrestrial. And not all of them, but a reasonable number of them have kind of pointed saying, look, if there is something going on, it's not cool. And I don't know. It's just sort of what I've come across. So, but yeah, Zane, as far as what you're saying, I think, you kind of just keep abreast of, what's going on in the world and the UAP thing. I mean, seriously, if the US come out and just say aliens are real, everyone's going to go, oh my gosh, we already knew that, but now it's okay to talk about it. And the government said it's okay. And so, yay, we're in a new era now. And it's like, yeah, next thing you know, it's like, yeah, they're real and they're not our friends. That's the bit that I'm kind of seeing is that they're being painted up as a threat. It's always this kind of fear mongering. And you can see it in, like if you got all of the movies from the last 10, 20 years about anything to do with aliens, and you put them all in a row and you labeled them based on, either as reflecting a positive angle or a negative angle of the view of extraterrestrials, whatever, I think you find that the large number of those would be cast in a negative light as a threat. And there's lots of people out there that are saying they're not, that they're fine and all this. Well, I'm sure that there's more than one group. The space is a big place after all, isn't it? And, after listening to the latest, what was it called? not the Kardashev scale or the Fermi paradox. What's the heck's it called? There's a I can't remember it. It begins with an F, I believe, but there's a calculation going around that attempts to sort of give us some numbers to work with about how many stars there are in a galaxy and how many solar systems, how many galaxies are out there. And it's like hundreds of billions on both sides, hundreds of billions of stars in galaxy and hundreds of billions of galaxies. I mean, if that's even remotely true, even if you move that decimal point over a bit, I mean, it seems like, how could there not be life? It's actually the height of hubris to think that there's not something going on out there. Or it's just reinforcing a preference that's not reflective of reality. And I have to say, I'm kind of, after a year, like I haven't done a lot of study over the last bunch of years. Most of it's been like, okay, I found the stuff I want to do and I want to practice, and I've got the stuff I like doing and I like talking about, but you can't not help sort of see the stuff on the peripherals. And yeah, I guess what I do like about it though is that it stimulates imagination. And so we have people coming up with amazing stories and, things to sort of, get your creativity jacked up. And I like that kind of thing, I like, like that was happening a lot during the early 60s. The late 60s during, when they're getting ready to launch the first manned missions and that, and all of the kind of excitement and the innovation and the ideas that brought along. Everybody has an agenda. I think, Zane, you're commenting on what I was talking about just before. Yeah. It could seem that way, yeah. Especially in the I just see anything that gets pushed through the mainstream. For me, I've got to say, it's mostly theatre. The political scene, the geopolitical scene, I don't know. I just can't buy it, I've talked to people who have worked in various levels of government and things, and some of them are like, oh, yeah, no, it's all pretty rigged, and, there's stuff going on that people wouldn't want to know about. And some people who work for the government that I've talked to, and they tell me they've been in high places, and they're like, nah, there's nothing going on. It's all a load of bullshit. All this conspiracy stuff. I'm like, I don't know. There seems to be a rather compelling amount of information out there that kind of points towards, a bit of credibility on some of these topics. And I think too that there's always kind of got to be a, what do they call it? Like controlled opposition or something like this. So that, okay, if we don't get you over here, if you're going to go over here, because generally if you don't like this version, the main version or the mainstream version, you go and see what the alternative's talking about. And there's certain alternative commentators who seem to, be getting all the views and all the eyes on them. And even if they're sharing really, controversial content, it's still a bit of a limited hangout. But what I find interesting is that there's a lot of commentators who are providing quite unique perspectives, and they're the ones that are kind of getting cancelled. And they're not necessarily, they're getting YouTube's demonetized or turned off, or they have to go to Rumble or something. And they're not using bad language or encouraging violence or anything like that. They're just kind of asking questions and just commenting. And, it's up to people, to discern for themselves whether or not there's an actual measure of credibility or legitimacy to what they're saying. But that's buyer beware, or, you got to kind of, take everything with a grain of salt. All right, time for a new meme. Let's go. You guys ready? 3, 2, 1. 2, 1. Anyway, let's go. Nope, that one. Hope you guys are enjoying this. I just want to hang out. I'm not making these live streams for posterity, really. Maybe at the end of the world, Or maybe when I've passed on, somebody will be like, oh, what's this all about? Who's this guy? Oh, I just wanted to sit around and talk bollocks. Yeah, sure, we're doing spiritual development and we're like, practicing, spirituality or spiritual this, spiritual that. I'm spiritual AF or, whatever. But we're also humans. Or are we? So I might as well have a laugh. That's pretty good, eh? I might just let's see if I can put myself a little bit more in the corner there. Oh, there we go. There's a bit more. There's a bit less of me and a bit more of the gag. There we go. That might look better on your screen. Yeah, I'm curious about what we might encounter next year, because I know some people who are pretty good at sort of just like making predictions, and I've made a couple of predictions myself based on recurring patterns of behavior. And if you follow pop culture, you can see that there are certain types of themes that are presented in advance that seem loosely but suspiciously loosely connected in a form of a pattern that point towards something as the timeline moves forward. And then at a certain point, because if all the movies are all displaying a certain theme or type of messaging, it kind of just gets you cool with it, because it's like, oh, if it's in the movies, it must be okay, even if it's wild. I mean, I remember as a kid going to the movie store, and all the horror movies were in this cordoned off section. They're all R16 and R18s, and they're hardcore, And then, was it like 10 years ago, The Walking Dead's on 8 o'clock at night on, free to air television or something like this. And, and the graphic nature of that stuff, goodness me. So, normalizing and desensitizing to things is, it's a thing, and conditioning people to get ready, what do they call it? They talked about it in 2001, A Space Odyssey, the Stanley Kubrick movie. He said, when they discover the monolith on the moon and they're sitting around in this big sort of boardroom with all of these, world leaders or the architects of society and the social fabric. And they're saying, oh, do we need to start conditioning or getting the public ready for this? And, we need to start rolling out the information, You can't give it to them all at once. It'll be too much. You got to kind of just like put a bit here and a bit there, a little bit in there, and they won't notice. It won't be overwhelming. Does anyone watch Star Wars at this time of the year? I just watched the 3 movies, the sequel trilogy. So the ones with Rey, the new ones, the 3 new Disney movies, 7, 8, and 9. And I hadn't watched them for a while. I watched them once the first time. And I mean, they're visually spectacular. Like, that can't be knocked. But good grief, man. Some of the writing, the dialogue it's terrible. The exposition, that the lack of subtext, like they need to explain things that they already know. It's like me saying stuff like, I'm in a conversation with someone saying, yeah, so I decided to wear this white shirt today. And yeah. And the other person's like, yeah, you didn't really need to say that. I can see that. But visually spectacular, like enjoyable to, feast for the eyes. It sucks to see them kind of, miss the great opportunity to have Luke, Leia, and Han together. They didn't use that. And that, Luke's a bit of a loser and Han's a bit of a loser. And yeah, it was just like, more of this nonsense, bit over it. But hey, it's Star Wars. And yeah, Skeleton Crew seems to be pretty fun at the moment. We'll see where it goes. I have heard from some people on the inside, apparently from the inside, who are saying that there's a certain kind of messaging that's going to be introduced in the third series of Skeleton Crew, which I believe will be coming out in the next couple of days. If not tonight, actually, it might be tonight. Is the new Dune movie out? I do not believe so. If you're referring to the third and the Villeneuve, I can't pronounce his name, the current series of movies, I'm not sure. I've got to say, I used to follow the stuff a lot more. Now I'm just happy, normally it'll just pop up on my YouTube feed. One of the commentators will bring it up. Oh, AI. Oh, it's horrific, and it's disturbing. It's disturbingly useful, isn't it? Like, I'm trying to come up with words because you can totally tell when it's AI. It's close. I mean, if you have a look here, you can see the finger on the end here. You can see the weird kind of, disproportionate morphing. And I'm pretty sure that this was put in as an after effect because, AI's, unless you get the good stuff, I think it's pretty hard to put, coherent text in an image via AI. But yeah. Okay, what else we got? This is just, it's kind of fun. It's a bit of a fantasy reference, I guess. Would you like to be someone's Prince Charming? Would you like to meet your Cinderella? True, actually. I have to say, the times I've sat down and tried to make some hand-drawn art, like there's some things I'm okay at. I used to do a bit of tech drawing stuff, and I had to do a bit of engineering kind of stuff. And I think earlier this year, I started creating some sort of physical analog models for explaining the hermetic process, I guess, of balancing the elements at the three levels, trying to come up with some nice visual imagery depicting a very simple kind of machine, if you will. But yeah, as far as hands go, I think that's like, you sit there and you got your paper and you're just kind of drawing it, but making things look real. I mean, if any of you have got tattoos, right? And you might be like really disappointed with what you got, or you might be like, yeah, it's okay. I mean, stink because, it's a bit of a forever thing in some ways. But, I mean, I've got some mates that have had some shocking tattoos. I don't have any. It's not my thing, but, because a tattoo person is an artist as well as someone who knows how to put the ink inside under the skin. Obviously, it's a twofold thing. You're going to have this, most tattoo artists, I'd like to think, can draw nice or designs or something, and that will translate or transfer from the image you see. Like you're looking at the image of the food up on the wall there in the light box, and that's what you're expecting to get, and then you get it, and you're like, this is not what I ordered. I wanted that. Well, that is that. Nah, bro, it looks different. Yeah, well, it's got all the same stuff in it. Yeah, but nah. But I have got a mate who lives in South Auckland ways, out in Papakura. And this is for my Kiwi friends, my Kiwi family here, and especially in Auckland and Manukau City ways. I've got a friend who is an exceptional tattoo artist, and he's really cheap. He's too cheap. He should be probably 3 times the price. And if you're looking for him, it's Tough Times Tattoos, TUFF, Tough Times Tattoos. He's on Facebook and that, and he puts a lot of his artwork up, and his stuff is photorealistic type thing, and he does all sorts of stuff. Always impressive. Full body stuff, arms, sleeves, everything. Yeah, AI is real funny, eh? Like, it's sometimes hard to tell You know, if anyone out there, like I think if you're a digital artist, I've said this to a mate, a couple of mates even. I've said, hey, if you guys were looking for ideas for a video, make a video on how to spot AI. Like what stands out. There's a lot of people out there are just getting into this stuff, and they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much. How do you navigate it? Do I need to know it? Do you want to know when something's AI or not? I've been listening to these lo-fi coffee shop jazzy fusion hip hop beats because it's nice, laid back. It's not busy, and I'm not much of a music listener nowadays, to be fair. But this is just nice in the mornings with coffee and doing some writing and that. Pretty sure it's AI, but it's a good muso. I'm looking for the genuine artists out there. All right, next meme. What do we got? Maybe a little bit macabre, but it's kind of funny, I guess. Oh yeah. So Substack thing down. Where is it? Rolling along the top. Go down there and give me your email. It's free, right? I won't pass it on, I promise. I don't think Substack do it either. I think they're a pretty cool platform. At the moment, you're hearing me. I might sound like a bit of a Substack shill. I don't work for them. I don't get any hookups from them. If anything, I'm just encouraging people to maybe just bust out of their comfort zones on Facebook and YouTube a little bit and go look at alternative platforms that are starting to build and get some, it's like anything, things that get big, it's good to get in there early because you can claim your name on there, your domain name, whatever, and you can, things can start getting a bit saturated and a bit full and a bit hard to get traction in. So, Substack's really starting to take off, and they've got video and audio and images, and you can make beautiful newsletters in there, and you can build a little mini website and stuff. And yeah, it's cool, and it's free, and you can put a paywall in if you want. Very flexible. And they use Stripe as well. I found Stripe to be really good. Like it's the Stripe for payments. It's really fast. Like setting up YouTube payments is, dude, it's almost not worth it. Unless you've got a big channel and you got people who want to spend money, like support you on YouTube. You got to jump through some hoops, but whatever. But on the Substack, far out, you just link it and it just starts. When anyone signs up for a paid subscription, you get it like in a couple of weeks or whatever. So it's really cool like that. YouTube really are hard masters, man. Unless you got, numbers, big numbers. I have a half brother, different mothers, shark attack. I saw this in the supermarket, and so I wanted to snap this. I love you from my head to my toes, Oh, I just thought that was precious. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Spread some love. The half-brother gag reminds me of the movie Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox. Oh my gosh, that movie. Oh my gosh. I actually did try and rewatch that. It's so over the top. I've got to say though, the music in it it's top notch. It's obviously a huge parody. But my gosh, the music production in that movie it's next level, it's pretty impressive. And obviously there's a lot of, it's a parody, so it's full of jokes, and it's like taking the piss out of other movies and musicians and things in history and that. I thought the one they did on what's his name, Zimmerman, what's his name? Bob Dylan. He did a Bob Dylan type song, and it was pretty good. Like you're just like listening to it, and it's like, And I think he did one. What else did he do? He did one of Brian Wilson as well from the Beach Boys. They did a kind of a thing with some wild instruments. I think it was a cross between that and sort of when the dude from Paul Simon and Garfunkel, Paul Simon, and he brought in all the people from Africa to record the album, or he recorded it in Africa. But yeah, that movie's pretty funny. Walk Hard. If you haven't seen Walk Hard and you need a good laugh, like a really good laugh, I'd recommend it. It's very well made, and the jokes in it are, there's some pretty tragic stuff in it, but it's pretty funny, I think, overall. And that scene where they're in the hotel bedroom and everyone's naked, and there's just people walking through, like, and it's just their bottom halves, and there's just a guy standing there, and it's just, and he's having this serious conversation on the phone, and it you kind of, I love that humor where it kind of like, it's almost like the shocking thing, but it's kind of like broken up by the semi-serious, like it's ridiculously over the top, but it's also trying to maintain a serious tone. It kind of, I don't know, I just love that kind of humor. What do we got? All right, let's do another meme. Nope, hang on. What's going on here? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's I just find that really funny. That's so simple. Is it a dad joke? I guess so. You could turn it into a dad joke. So how's everyone's practice going? You loving it? Do you finding that you need to give yourself a bit of a push and a bit of a nudge at the moment? You find it, I got to say, getting up early in the morning and doing that wash, far out, man. There's nothing like it, eh? I don't do the shower. I just do a brush and a wash and hand wash, and man, that's a great way to wake up, especially in the morning in the summertime when the water's nice and cool. Because where I live, the water pipe is above ground, and so during the summertime, you have to run the water for ages before it cools down. And so, you can't just be running water all the time for various reasons. Yeah, first thing in the morning, nice. But yeah, you guys have any issues with your practice momentum with any particular exercises? Whatever the practice is, I might have something to offer. Just throw it in. I'll do my best. This one here. Oh, I had to share this one. Warning, these brownies are for shits and giggles. Some have laxative, some have pot. Eat one, give it 30 minutes, you'll know which is which. Cannot be eaten until gift is unlocked. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah. That's like Russian roulette with your physiology, isn't it? Imagine if that's your secret Santa and it has to be consumed on site. Well, if you're operating heavy machinery, either one of those options isn't good. And if you're at a desk, I don't think there's any way that either of those situations can work out well. I wonder if it's legit too. It's like, bro, do we spin the wheel? Do we try this out? That'll be fine. What's the worst that can happen? Ooh. Both situations could be pretty dire. There was a Roman emperor who never aged after he turned 19. His name was Constantine. AI image and overlaid text, but I don't know. I think there's a few memes like this doing the rounds at the moment for whatever reason, so I just thought that was pretty funny. I'll throw it in. It's a classic, isn't it? Oh dear. Thank you, everyone who's hanging out right now. I appreciate you all. Thanks for hanging out. Don't be shy. Throw something in the chat if you want to comment or just say something or ask a question or whatever. It's cool. We're just hanging out. It's fine. It's nice to see you guys here. Wednesday here in New Zealand. What is it? Where you guys are? I think we're on the leading edge here. So we're pretty much at the front of time here in New Zealand. There is a set of islands that are actually just on the date line, but we're like the first big country, I think. And so, we kind of sort of steal a bit of the limelight there. But the great news is that Wednesday happens. Seven and 9. Oh my gosh. Shimdim Wajin Con. Sorry if I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but I am grateful for you attending. Thank you so much for joining us here. Looks like you've got a very interesting image there. I can't see it very well, but I'm guessing it might be Carly. Hey, what's up, OG? Nice name. Tuesday in the US? Oh, that's good. If it was Wednesday, I'd be a little bit concerned. I'd be like, what's happening? Is the world folding? Thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, I think this is like, it's very similar. I'm looking at this meme, and this is quite telling. I think about motivations I've had over the years with different experiences I've been gifted or given glimpses of. Like you read a book on astral projection, and the next day you have an out-of-body experience. It's kind of like that try before you buy thing. Buy being your time investment, and even lucid dreaming, getting caught up in the, oh man, I can do this, I can do that, and it's like, it's good to fill your boots, I think, and explore and discover the kind of the length, girth, and width of the experience as much as you can. And you can seek to, there's exercises for, stabilizing the dream environment, for sustaining the length of it in a sense, and also making it more vivid. And that can help with the experience. And that's kind of like the work part of the work aspect, apart from just doing the reality checks. But then you get into that, and then you're like, cool, I just want to have fun. It's like, okay, well, you can do that. It's funny. I used to try and do certain things in lucid dreams, like fly, and I just had no luck. But once I started practicing Qigong and learning how to float myself with, it was like I could just pull on that, and you could just put your hands down and pump that feeling, and then you'd get lift. It was pretty wild. But yeah, I think you can use the dreaming environment, the lucid dreaming environment, for practice quite effectively as well. And there's a lot of opportunity within that. A great question you can ask while you're in a lucid dream. So you're dreaming, and you go, holy crap, I'm dreaming. And then you put your finger through your hand, or you try to flick the light switch, or you jump up and down and you fly, or, the light switch doesn't activate the light, and your finger goes through your hand, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm dreaming. And you try not to get too excited, because the emotional excitement can actually knock you out of it. And you can ask the dream environment, what's the most important thing that I should be working on right now? You might be surprised the answer you get. And you might be surprised at how enthusiastic the environment is to communicate with you as well. I remember listening, there's a guy called Robert Wagner, who's a well-known sort of lucid dreaming commentator, and not just dreams, but lucid dreaming. He's written some books. He's actually written this one book, Lucid Dreaming, Gateway to the Inner Self, and that is an exceptional book. Not so much if you're into lucid dreaming, which is quite odd. Like if you want to, there's plenty of books that can give you the how-to and give you some cool stuff to like get excited about. And that's in this book too, but it's more like a deep dive from a psychological perspective. He mentions Freud and Jung quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, if you're really into if you want to nerd out on lucid dreaming, that's a good one. Gateway to the Inner Self by Robert Wagner. But yeah, lucid dreams can also be an excellent launching point to get you kind of acclimatized for a different operating environment that's immersive, because it's all encompassing. You're in a dream environment. Your whole being essentially is in this dream environment. They say it might be a little bit different to mental wandering in some ways, while you're developing that skill. But, lucid dreaming is a pretty low-hanging fruit on the tree that's just waiting to be grabbed, and you can use it to help yourself greatly. And also, if you work on dream stabilization, what's that Castaneda book? There's a Carlos Castaneda book called The Art of Dreaming, I believe, and that's got some good stuff in it to explore. Now, I can't comment on the nature of the beings that he describes in that environment and some of the other things that go on, especially later on in the book. But this idea of fixing your attention on a particular item in the dream environment and just learning to focus on it will help to stabilize you and the environment at the same time. And so, when you're just paying attention to the dream environment rather than going, oh, good, I'm going to wish a hot tub full of hot chicks I want a motorcycle that flies with big guns on it or something, whatever it is, some kind of, dream fantasy you want to play out. At some point, you can do all that stuff. You probably get tired of it, be like, But then it's like when you want to get into practice, you can use this environment to, basically have a conversation with and go, okay, I need to work on my black mirror. Can you give me some things that I may have missed? And trust me, it will point things out. And it may even give you a visual of it. And you'll be like, oh, yeah, true. And when you're confronted in a dream environment with a visual, when you feel it, there's a kind of you've got more skin in the game. Like, it's much more what you call immersive, but it's got a substantialness to it that you can't deny. And it's like when you have a dream or like a nightmare or whatever, and you wake up and you're still freaked out by it. It carries through, like it seems real, even in a lucid dreaming environment. Especially in the early stages, some of those experiences could be quite jarring. But meditation and managing your emotional body through doing the black and white mirrors and, doing the element breathing and all that type of stuff, I tell you what, my lucid dreaming experiences have been quite significantly different since I started doing the Barden training. And yeah, it's worth checking out. Local woman relieved to learn naked run through neighborhood was just a dream. Or was it? Have you ever had one of those dreams where you're rocking around naked and you're like really embarrassed? Or you have one of those dreams where you're rocking around naked and you're like not embarrassed? I've had both. I'm really confident, I'm fully naked walking through like a local place where people know me and everyone says, hey, what's up? And I'm like, hey, man. And I mean, maybe I'm just full of myself or something like this, but it's quite an experience, when you reflect back on it, like going. So, if you're writing your dreams down, naked, walking through a mall, like fully naked, and people are just talking to me normally, fine. And you can read into that however you want. I think it's almost like uber confidence, especially if it kind of paints a context, maybe around a topic, a subject, or a situation in your life. I've been extremely lazy. I've completely stopped all my practices for some reason. I can't explain it. I'm still trying to figure it out. The photo is Black Tara. Oh, was that the previous image maybe? Oh, I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Well, 7 to 9. If there is a drive, there's going to be plateaus in desire for practice. That can't be helped. And I think that even the fruits, once you get normalized to some of the cool stuff, it just becomes a kind of the honeymoon period of a new skill set development. uh some things are always cool and invigorating and exciting and desirable, and then some things are like, yeah, I've done that, right, what's next? I think that's why, like having things laid out, like say in Bard, and it gives you one thing, then the next thing, then the next thing, and especially up towards that step 5, like in the early stages, things start getting quite interesting. Like it's very, I don't want to talk about it. That's why we have this pillar of silence for a lot of things. For starters, you don't want to contaminate someone else's experience. You want people to have their own very special, unique experience. But yeah, I mean, if you're finding you haven't got the energy for it, but you want to do it, these fellas here, where are they? These beads, man. Your mantra that you're going to repeat 108 times. I practice every day for 2 hours. Just make a statement. I practice every day for 2 hours. I practice every day for 2 hours. I practice every day for 2 hours. Da 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 da, all the way around. You do that just before bed and when you get up in the morning and throughout the day as well, if you've got some time. And I have to say, I've actually been really surprised over the years by how effective auto-suggestion is. And yeah, I mean, apart from wearing the beads, which obviously make me just spiritual AF, walking down the streets with my beads out, and people are like, oh, this guy's next level. I'm kidding. But I do wear them, not because I'm cool. Certainly not. If anything, I found it's got a dual purpose. For starters, when you're wearing them, because these are these ones with the malas with the like the grit texture, like they're quite you can see them, but they've got like little spiky bits, and so when you're rocking around, they bite into your skin. You can really feel them, and so they help to remind you of what their function is for that day. Because if you're rocking a mantra or an auto-suggestion statement and you're putting it in on the beads, you're putting it into your water, into your food, and you're even doing some concentration on the thing, like you want to focus all your internal resources on a particular goal. These are great. They kind of they're like a felt reminder, especially, like when you feel it biting on the skin. It's quite nice. Not in a weird fetish way. It's more like, it's just like a reminder, it's just good. I like it. But yeah, I mean, if you want to, 7 to 9, like a good way to get your practice going is grab your beads and just go, I practice every day. Not I want to, or I want to desire to, or anything like that. You just say, I do it every day. And you just start loading it, front loading in the new program of this is what I do. And you're applying your will to it. All right. There we go. No, not that one. Let's try this. I think this is the last one. Is it? Yeah, it is. Don't worry, I'm sticking around for a bit. How are you guys doing? Thank you, everyone, for joining me here. I appreciate you all very much. If you have a comment, a question regarding hermetics, regarding stuff I'm talking about, or stuff that's going on in the world, I've got a pretty wide kind of, I can speak to a variety of things in various levels. I'm not into politics, but I can talk about things, I guess, from maybe the meta point of view, But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to, some things I'm just not interested in. Yeah, perfect, 7 to 9, perfect. Yeah, mantras are easy. Easy. And look, if you were craving a bit of magic, like, because, it can be a bit of a slog doing some of the training stuff, and it can be a bit of a gap between skill attainment, especially if you're doing the linear approach of doing one exercise and the next and the next and the next and the next. But yeah, I've just found things like lucid dreaming and just even dream work in general, like they can be such engaging experiences. And, and if you've got your lucid dreaming game down tight, and I'm not saying every day, I actually think that could be quite damaging. And it wouldn't be as, I had someone explain it. They said basically, you've got a tank and that's your lucid dreaming fuel. And, it needs to fill up by not using it basically. And the more of it you've got, the more lucid and vivid and potent and meaningful it will be. Because you can have whatever lucid dreams where you're conscious and then unconscious for whatever reason. But yeah, I think, just using the mantras, very powerful, very easy, simple. Yeah, nice one. Yeah, nice one, Zane. Yeah. Yeah. And I think the attitude, if you look at his face, he's even just like, he's pretty relaxed about it. Like the way the eyes are set there. Might as well enjoy yourselves, guys, while you're here, right? There's work to be done. Absolutely, there's work to be done. Doesn't mean we can't enjoy ourselves, though. It can be an absolutely beautiful life. And I mean, some of us are obviously going to be in much more pleasant conditions and situations than others. And that can change for everyone. We all have our own experience of suffering and stress and that. But, it's kind of those muscles we build when we're in those situations, when we're seeking to remove ourselves or rectify it, resolve it, or even just tidy it up the best we can. Or maybe it gives us impetus for, new life, new growth. It points us in a new direction. There's some things I was holding on to. Oh my gosh. But something else had different plans for me. And, as soon as I let those things go, life got so much better. And it's funny. There's almost like seasons of things, isn't there? Like some things disappear from my interest range and then they just come back in full noise. And I notice that sometimes the Facebook memories, like I'll start thinking about a certain topic or a situation or something like that. And then a memory will pop up on Facebook about that thing. And yeah, I mean, some seasonal things, obviously. If you're posting Christmas stuff around Christmas time, I mean, that's a no-brainer. But yeah, it's just interesting, especially February, March, when everyone's back from holidays and they're kind of getting back into work and they're all energized. And maybe they've been at work for a few weeks and they've found their feet again and their momentum and they like their job or they don't like their job. But yeah, it just seems to be a really good productive time, I find, sort of mid to late February, March. Hey, yeah. Great, love it. Yeah, what is it? Viggo Mortensen and G.I. Jane with Demi Moore. Pain is your friend. It lets you know you're still alive. So funny seeing him in that role, prior to Aragorn. He's got this butt chin that's like so pronounced, and he's wearing, like he's like a drill sergeant dude with this, this hat. And he's a bit of an a-hole in that movie, actually, but he does it very well. Excellent actor. But yeah, like having a bit of pain can be the thing that helps you to, bust out of your funk, man. You might be stuck in a rut without even realizing it. You might be stuck in a really comfortable rut, but life has other plans. It's going to make you, pardon me, a little bit uncomfortable potentially as well. Oh, that's not the one. Where are we? So yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to punch up some of these comments, guys. I've got a whole stack of comments I need to go through. What's the time? Oh, I've still got plenty of time. I think I've got, oh shit. Oh, dang. Excuse my French. I think I've got, oh no, I've got 40 minutes. Okay. Where are we? Let's share the thing. So I'm getting lots of comments coming through on the YouTube channel, and I've got to say, I've got mixed feelings about how much effort I put into responding to comments, especially when, I don't know. I like what Mark Rasmus does. He's just turned the comments off. I mean, I love engaging with community, but having to, I don't know, some of them, like, they're just people who can't be bothered looking stuff up or, I don't know. But yeah, I guess it's like these things have to be done right. So anyway, let's do this thing. Okay, so I'm going to share screen. So just keep talking and hanging out with me, guys. I'm just going to look at some of these comments. Okay. Yeah, I'm just showing you the back end of my YouTube channel here. So I'm just going to go through them, and yeah, that's pretty much it, really. Let's see here. So what do we got? Marie Who? Okay, what are you talking about? At 4109. I don't know how to. Marie Who? 4109. Oh man, do I have to open another tab? Oh man, this is getting hard. YouTube. So it's, I think, the initiation into Hermetics video. I have to do all this other stuff. What do we got? Have you ever worked with Baal Kadmon books on mantras? I have a few I'm going to start working with. No, I haven't. Thank you for sharing that. Feel free to put a link in the chat or under the comments underneath, like to the author's page or an Amazon or something like that. And maybe if you're feeling really keen, maybe preface it with like, this guy's really good or whatever. But yeah, thank you for sharing. I haven't come across that name personally. I mean, I'm aware of those two words, but not the person themselves. So thank you. But yeah, I think the mantra thing, it's like, if you can't be bothered doing something, you can talk yourself into doing something, with minimum applied effort. Mantras are great for that. But yeah, especially if you can just sort of like get your will working where it overpowers any, thing that the ego throws at you. So, because when that astral ego's just getting too comfy and lazy and that, you got to get on top of that because it can start to just cause problems. All right, let's see here. So videos. Popular videos, and it's our most popular video. Let's see here. Okay. Okay. Okay, Mary, Jewess, perhaps. Perhaps. perhaps check the Wikipedia. Check Wikipedia, perhaps. So basically what you're saying is the road to success is perseverance and being fit. That's the bar for success. That's what people get upset about. I believe he's talking about Bob's, Bob places emphasis on body training and about, I guess, why take the long way around if you don't need to? And, Bob's made some critical comments about the layout of initiation into Hermetics too. And I think he's got some fair points, Okay, this is Baal Cadmon. Thank you for that, 7-9. He's on Amazon. He's got books on Hindu deities such as Kali Shiva election. Okay, yep, sweet yes. Oh, yeah, cool. Awesome. Thank you for that. All right, everyone, check that out. If that's your thing, it's right there. Oh man, there's so many comments on here. Oh, yeah, cool. So we've got Will, he's a member. So one of the things I do is I offer a membership here on YouTube. And so anyone who's joined, one of the things is I will reply to your comments. Thanks, Will. Thanks, Will. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I'm very grateful to those of you who have decided to, part with a small something each month for the channel, whether it's here on YouTube or on Substack. I think it's like $5 or $6 or something New Zealand, which ends up being $3 or $4 US. It's very helpful. Those little bits of cash that come through, I needed to get a new mouse the other day, and fortunately the secondhand shop had one. Sweet, cool. I'm sorry, I'm not a big spender with stuff. I'll make do with things. When I'm a big famous YouTuber dude, maybe I'll have a better camera and lights and things like that. But in the meantime, it should be right. And I don't use any of my private business to fund this either. At the moment. Okay. I'll give an emoji there too. Appreciate you, Will. Thank you so much. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Angela Rossini. Angela Rossini, that's a great comment. Yeah, so, if we go up here, I saw this the other day. I really love Barden's work. I have gotten beyond amazing results with them. Perfect. And nowadays, there are a plethora of external resources we did not have even 15 years ago. Exactly. We have some of the best teachers and resources for doing this work right now, guys, that incorporates the latest technologies and understandings in science and how it relates to the non-physical worlds. Like, if you want to get into it, now's the time. And time is all you need, And if, the initiation into Hermetics framework is basically laid out for someone to do an hour in the morning and an hour at night, But if you want to go harder than that, if you want to take a bunch of time off and just do your sunrise to sunset training, there's ways to reconfigure it. But not for nothing, Phil. What I really hate nowadays are the practitioners or experts, smug, arrogant sobs that are clueless what they are talking about, but want to sound like they know everything. Yeah, through this development process, one of the things that pops up regularly is what triggers me or sets me off. And then going, oh, that's a thing that I don't want to have that reaction to anymore. And that includes people I might think of as smug or arrogant. And I'm presuming that this person is referring to Mark and Bob and myself, because we're the ones in the interview, possibly Mark, because Mark can be challenging to listen to, especially in the series of interviews I've done with him. and he's got some pointed comments to make. And if you've ever listened to Mark on other shows, he's generally a lovely guy. But on here, I said to the guys, I said, look, I know you guys have got some things you want to talk about. I'll give you an open platform here to, to air your concerns and, your opinions. And that's exactly what we did. And so, I would just say something like, I listen to stuff. I listen to people that may have wound me up in the past, but I'm listening for the message. I'm not really too focused on the messenger. It's easy to, sometimes the packaging of there's a gem somewhere in this thing that I'm perceiving to be unpleasant, the packaging, the wrapper, the person presenting it, in this undesirable packaging, the presentation, the delivery mechanism, whatever is a payload, a gem that I want. But I'm just going to have to, if I'm listening to something that's like, oh, this is really hard and horrible. I mean, it's a bit different to watching a movie that's really bad, because, you might be like, oh, man, I hope there's a gem of wisdom in here. Well, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. And look, challenge them. Like the whole idea of this path is for things to be testable. Just hit them up. Hey, you made this comment. You'll need to tag them. I've left the comments on, and it's up to them whether or not they reply. But yeah, I mean, I might have some more challenging people on next year. I'm not trying to shock or upset people. Sometimes I just feel like wanting to talk to people with strong opinions, and I don't want to have. I've thought about holding, gentleman debates or things like this, but I honestly, I find it so distracting. I'm a practicer. I started this channel to support the community because it supports me in my practice as well. Just by being on here, sharing the fruits of my own experience with others to help other people out. And if I can somehow sort of get something going here on YouTube, sort of takes a bit of pressure off on the other thing too. I'm a local business person, so the global family has got a lot of opportunities, and Hermetics is becoming, Franz Barden system is starting to get some real traction in the public consciousness at the moment. And I think as more people in the community start doing live streams and make videos like Bob and Jake and James from Perseus, more of that stuff that happens, there's going to be more people doing this, and there's going to be people looking for teachers and people to, or even me. I guess I'm a bit of a generalist, really. I really love the practice, and I love helping people out how I can, and I'm pretty straight up, if I can help you or not. But yeah, I think one of the big things is keeping up the momentum of practice, and that's another thing why I do these live streams. When I was doing them more regularly, especially having a place where people can hang out in a very public setting. And, some people have come on here and just seen me talking because they recognize me from somewhere else or something. And then they've heard me talk about the Barden system, and then they've started it. Or they've gone and bought a course off one of the other creators. Thank you, Angelo. Yes. Shout out to Perseus Arcane Academy. Thank you, James, for all that you do. I've got a lot of time for James and Perseus because they're building a platform. Yes, they're getting a cut. Of course they're getting a cut. But they're building a platform to help other teachers and content creators and course providers get their stuff out there, because not everyone is, not everyone who's a creator or like a writer or a teacher is that savvy with the tech, or they haven't got time. you got to have a wide range of skills to be online a lot. And, I talk to James in the background regularly, and like we talk about softwares and opportunities in the realm, and that we're trying to he's obviously promoting other authors, trying to help them out. In a sense, he could be carrying a bit of a burden because they're putting their product in some cases exclusively on his platform, and it's his job to do the marketing and share the stuff and keep it alive, and and this type of thing. So good on you, James. I appreciate what you're up to, brother. And all the support you offer me as well. You've had me on the channel, and you've brought a lot of great teachers that I've never even heard of to my attention. And the same with Bob doing recommendations for books, and Jake has had some guests on his channel too. And obviously then you've got, channels like, Mark Rasmus and Martin Folks and Clint Sabom and the recently passed, rest in peace, Ron Clark, and many others, basically, helping people out. Yeah, they might be making books and courses to sell. I still see a little bit of argument over that in the community. I'm like, well, if you don't want to, if it rubs you up the wrong way that people are trying to make a living off being a teacher of something, then just don't support them. There's plenty of free stuff out there. One thing I really like is that pretty much all the teachers are pumping heaps of free stuff out there. Whether it's as part of their business strategy or if it's just they like sharing it. I mean, Mark Rasmus, he just makes a bunch of videos and then just uploads them, and some of them will go onto YouTube, but most of them go onto his Vimeo channel. And he's just relaxed as he's turned the comments off. Sounds pretty good, actually. I like interacting with the community. Don't get me wrong. That's why I'm doing these live streams, but you can really make yourself busy with a lot of, things. Awesome. Yeah, lovely. And another shout out to Falcon Books Publishing, Tanya. Thank you so much for your support. She's connected me with some of the teachers and creators, and just helped me with a couple of things in the background too. She's really lovely. She's so helpful. Perhaps next year. Perhaps next year. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I haven't decided on what's happening with the Barden yet, guys. Everyone's just so busy, to be fair. And I was kind of thinking maybe doing a quarterly one on the solstices and equinoxes. But of course, many of the people who are practices and teachers use those times because they're auspicious times for certain operations. And, they just like to maybe hang out with their friends because whatever. Thanks for watching. Nope. But, oh, yeah, I see. There we go. Perhaps next year. Oh, yep, cool. Cyclomancy is back in print as well. It's on Amazon. Some say it's the best book on psychic abilities. I'll try it next year. Also, Mark Rasmus just launched a vid advertising his new course layout. Yeah, if you guys haven't checked out the Mark Rasmus YouTube channel and you're getting into Bard and you really want to go there, like, there's so much stuff on there. We are so lucky to have Mark. Mark's pretty much what got me into Barden. In fact, Mark is what got me into Barden because I'd never heard of Barden before. Or if I had, it just passed by me because, back in the day when I'm studying all the Golden Dawn stuff and going through all the usual suspects, Barden just passed me by, really. And I've talked about this too. I've got a book here on wizards, from the last how many thousands of years, and it's all the usual suspects and some obscure names are in there, but not Barden. Yeah, it's really weird, but Oh, wow. That's really great to hear. Go Korea. All right. Gee whiz. Zane, you're in Korea, aren't you? How was the feeling of, when I'm guessing, I'm presuming you're in South Korea, when the the Prime Minister, I think last week or the week before, declared martial law and then got shot down. I mean, gee whiz. That's insane. That's intense. Got anything to comment on that, brother? You're right in the thick of it, man. We covered quite a bit of the PME related conversation in the two videos, but hey, you never know. 60 Skills has a recent book review video on PME's channel. Not really too insane for Korean politics, where all of our presidents end up dead or in prison after their term, it seems. Oh, wow, okay. It was just like out of the blue, like, okay, what am I doing today? No, let's just flick on martial law, dude. I don't know, boss. That's pretty insane. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that there was, prodding. I kind of think, especially in these, some of these places that, they get nudged and prodded to trial out certain things. They get, we'll hook you up, we'll get you in there, but we're going to come knocking, asking for favors at some point. Buddy Boulder. Where's Buddy Boulder? Oh man, it just goes on and on, doesn't it? Crikey. It's about the state and truly understanding what that is. Cut the BS. I don't know what that's talking about. Well, I could speculate, but I'm not going to. Awesome interview. Thank you. This guy's weird. What did he mean by banishing stuff you'd like to keep? Timestamp. Got a timestamp. Oh, Tim Pruitt. He's always a good bugger, isn't he? Oh, some nice people. I guess that's the fun side of reviewing the comments. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I'll come back to you in a sec. Here we go. I'll pull that off. Yeah, that's this guy here. Hang on. That's Rick Miller. He's written a stack of books. And if you're into like the physics angle of the conversation when it comes to metaphysics, I strongly recommend going to richardallenmiller.com, looking at his array of books. He is a magician as well, and he's I believe he's got 4 doctorates. Some of them are honorary, but the the interview might not really give a good indication of the depth of this man's wisdom and knowledge and his scholarly base, but his books, he's quite open about the life he's had and the people he's met and he's had a pretty full-on life. And even he says he's a little different. he's a character, and he's exposed himself to a lot of things that's probably affected him, most likely as well. But there is some stuff in his there's some content in his books that's well worth exploring. Okay, let's see here. All right, back in a sec, guys. Thank you so much for holding on there, everyone. Let's have a look. It's getting quite warm now. Thank you, everyone, for joining me here. I appreciate you guys. What else we got here? Nice. I'll take that. That one. Oh, what happens here? Oh, it's a double one. Oh, how bizarre. Oh, biphasic sleeping. Oh, yep. Yeah, I mentioned that because, yeah, no, I get that. Oh, man, that's really cool. Thank you, bro. What? I have... That's bizarre. Okay. Yeah, wonderful. Doodly-doo. Oh, okay, far out. Okay, I'm just sitting here clicking. I want to engage with you guys. So, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on, doesn't it? Yeah, so many nice people on here making nice comments and things, aren't there? Oh, this is great. If you can't find it in your local neighborhood, jump online and start building a bit of a community. Right, that'll do. Let's flick that fella there and bring me back in. How you guys doing? So, what are some things that we can do to nourish or fuel our desire for practice? So we talked about the beads before, right? We can program in new default sort of behaviors and patterns so that we can, just naturally sort of find our way towards doing it. That you get out of the car and you're like, I don't even remember driving here. Now we want to be more conscious than that, though. That's part of the practice. But staying on top. Man, my hair's getting pretty wild, isn't it? Should I shave it off? I'm not going to shave it off. I've got a funny shaped head. Yeah. So anyway, back to practice. Practice. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be. What's the time? Oh yeah. Staying excited with practice. Making it the most fun thing you do. Like you look forward to it. It's like, oh, I've got to practice. I think when you're pouring your practice into something, it can give it purpose. You're not just practicing for the reasons of practice. I mean, you might just be like, I'm cool. I just want to be a solo practicer. I love exploring and interacting with beings and traveling up and down or doing stuff in the real world. I can't help it. I must admit. I love it when I can get someone who wants to do a little bit of Tai Chi play and I can float them and, help them to have some interesting experiences and hear what they have to say. And, I do that with my Reiki clients as well. Turns out that can be quite an effective way to help them relax, especially before a session. A lot of people come in and they're stressed out, hence, the healing session. And yet, but the problem is that you end up relying on other people. Now, if you've got a practice group that you go and see regularly, or if you've got a practice partner and you've got some 2-person type or, partner training exercises, that can be very helpful. That can accelerate your growth and maintain interest. And also if there's someone else involved, then you're like, well, they're showing up for me. So type of thing. I mean, ideally you don't need any kind of help or assistance to want to practice. It's just like it's a thing you do, like brushing your teeth or going to the gym or whatever. You're exercising different muscles. They're just maybe not as obvious. And if you think about it, any early gains you get from going to the gym, those noob gains, then you sort of sit in that space for a while where the growth rate just starts to sort of taper off, and it's I got mates who were going to the gym for a long time before they got buff, but they got nice and toned. They already had some stuff to work with. But it's the same with this stuff, like it can become a bit of a grind. And for some, that's a great way to look at it. Every day they just put their nose to the table and just to the grindstone or whatever it is, the phrase, and they just get on with it. And some people are good for that. I've been a teacher and teaching kids music, and I found that there's lots of different learning styles, not lots and lots and lots. Just there's a good handful of them. And as a teacher who's attempting to provide some kind of transformative learning experience where people absorb and then are able to demonstrate a skill in the form of, say, guitar, it's very satisfying to see that. But you find that, you have to be a little agile as a teacher and creative and think on your feet, because that way that you've taught every other student that particular little move or song or part or whatever, there's one kid who gets everything else, but they're like the one that doesn't get this one thing. And you're like going, how do I help this person out? They've come to see me because I'm the expert or I'm the teacher. Now, obviously, Rereading Initiation into Hermetics, staying in the zone. Cool. I mean, you can reread it to the point where it's like, I don't need to read it anymore. I think periodic sort of revisiting of the book is a good idea. I have all 3 of them here, and I've got the supplemental books, I think, on my Kindle, like Frabato and Questions and Answers, and what's the other one? The Universal Master Key, and these types of things. But, if you're going to get into something, especially something that involves a fair amount of investment of your time, then one thing you can do is, get the hat, get the T-shirt, start to accessorize a little bit, try that out, see how it works. You might find it feels really tacky, however that looks. You might also find that it kind of keeps you in that, it's like the guy that likes Dungeons and Dragons. He's got the T-shirt and the hat, and he's got the dice keychain, and he's got all the accessories, and he's playing it and studying it. That's what he does in his spare time. He paints models and builds dioramas and et cetera, et cetera. Now, obviously, this is a little different, but, it's like, if you got, 5 minutes to kill, you might drop down and do 5 press-ups or 10 press-ups or something like that. Nice. What if you got 5 minutes to kill and you set a timer on your phone and you find a quiet little space or a space where you can just focus on a dot on the wall or on the head of a pin or something and just do 5 minutes of concentration exercises? Or you might be like, I've got 5 minutes to kill. I'm going to walk along a beach. I'm going to feel the sand between my toes, the coolness of the water, the heat of the sun, the air blowing around me. I can smell it. I can taste the salt in the spray, blah, 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 and just get, start to bring it in throughout the day. If you're doing the Kabbalah training, practicing seeing colors. If you struggle with visualization, and by the sounds of it, a lot of people do. Maybe it's a skill that we didn't quite get down in school, or we just haven't had a use for. You got to remember, the TV has been around for a while now, and it's in every house, and it kind of does the visualization job for you a lot. Whereas back in the old days, people would be reading books, and they had to rely on theater of mind or your internal mind's eye or the internal viewing screen. And so reading books is a great way to exercise that, especially books like fantasy and sci-fi. If you're into that stuff, you want to read engaging stuff, and you're painting these images in your mind of what the characters look like, what the environments and the landscapes look like. We got a comment here. Oh. Yeah, that's a good one too. I've heard that. That will change the way you walk and keep you very mindful. Very mindful. Mark Rasmus dropped a good one, and that is and I do this. Was doing it anyway, but he explained it quite well. But he basically said, go barefoot out onto the gravel and just, scrunch your feet up and let it bite in. And, and that will, it's kind of like, pinch me to see if I'm awake sort of thing, a little bit of pain, but it's like a functional pain because it awakens awareness in that region of the body. If you're on a surface that's somewhat precarious, I guess, or, it's a little bit crunchy underfoot or a bit spiky, your feet, the bottom of your feet can be quite tender, especially if you wear shoes a lot. And so, yeah, that's a great idea. So you're coming up with all these little ways, and there's so many teachers throughout time that have come up with these little cheat codes, if you will. But I mean, if you're doing, like I said, the Kabbalah training stuff, excuse me, I've shared a chart. Maybe I should just do that. I'll just make a video maybe. Essentially, you have a tone generator on your phone, makes a tone. Oh, and then you put the letter against it. voice it through the letter, and then you just practice that inside your head. Maybe you practice it long and low. You've got the tone, but you practice it long. Grr, 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 grr. You're trying to, when you think about it, right? If you make a sound like, if this water mug was if this mug was full of water and I was chanting over the top like, oh, the water would start changing a bit and rippling, right? In a sense, you're almost kind of doing that when you're uttering things at the mental level as well. You can feel there's a kind of a bite or attraction when you internally utter something. You can feel that there's a tension. And this is a lot of what the book is about. It's about discovering tensions. We're trying to, it's like building the ball. We've found the vital energy that we can essentially push up against. We're not dealing with intangible things here and deluding ourselves. We are finding ways of interacting with the subtle levels of reality that provide us with a satisfactory, tangible experience that something is actually going on. We want to be satisfied. We don't want to be like, oh yeah, there's something there. Oh, do you feel the energy? No, I don't feel the energy. Oh, don't you? Yeah, I don't. But I can train myself to feel it. But as we build up this library of different tensions, like we might start with vital energy, and then, it feels like this. The tension is, could be described as kind of rubbery and sort of soft. And then the astral is this much more fluidic, almost like a syrup or a hydraulic fluid. That's a different kind of tension. It's got a different nature and set of characteristics to the experience. And then the mental level is different again. And then, of course, you've got the elements, right? And then you've got, 3-part concentration through Kabbalah, which is, another set of stacking skills. So a lot of this is essentially learning you're training aspects of yourself to perform certain things. And then you're learning how to stack those things in a row, right? All at once, if you will. And then, of course, later on, you're putting one of those things in one place, and then you're learning to bring in other things like planetary energies and zodiac and Sephiroth and these types of things. And, but one thing at a time. Oh, yes, I need to remember to do this. Please hit that subscribe button. Just cause. Be nice. Thanks. It looks like most of my subs are like, most people that watch this stuff actually don't unsubscribers. So I think I just got to mention it. And there it is. Easy peasy. But yeah, I'm going to start winding things up in a bit here, guys. But I just want to hammer on this this practice momentum thing because I'm the same. I've struggled to keep up regular practice routine in the past. One thing I found to be really helpful is to be mindful of what I do before I go to bed. Not eating too late. You're basically combating talking yourself out of it in the morning because you don't, if you ate too much last night or I stayed up too late, these types of things. Trust me, you're doing this stuff for reasons, a whole bunch of reasons. And one of them is that it's fun and interesting. And also maybe because you've got a sense of responsibility or duty because maybe you're like me, I'm a Reiki teacher, practicer. So, like I'm wanting to fatten out my understanding of my skill set, where I found the best books on Reiki to be maybe somewhat lacking in certain metaphysical sort of detail. Magic is, especially the Barden and Rasmus conversation, and also what Bob's bringing in too. I really appreciate, Bob bringing it right down to the street level in a lot of ways using engineering talk. But, making it, where am I going with this? Yeah. So you don't want to set yourself up for to lose, And that might be, okay, well, you know what? Once you get that momentum going, that initial momentum going, it might be 21 days. All right, they say it takes 21 days to build a habit. Oh, well, maybe for this person there, maybe for that person, da 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 da. But if you can get a little bit of something in every day, that muscle will start to appear, and you'll be like, "Huh, this has worked. Awesome!" Like mental wandering. Mental wandering is a lot of fun. Out of body stuff, lucid dreaming. And these things can all feed back into your practice as well, even if you're sort of doing the mental wandering thing ahead of time. I mean, a lot of people who have come from magical backgrounds, who are doing the Barden work because they want a solid, laid out, structured system, they'll see mental wandering like as in I think it's in step 7 or 8. They're like, I'm already doing that. Do I just stop it? Well, I don't know. Do you? I didn't. I've got to say it's taken a bit of a back seat, to be fair, because it's fun and it is a foundational skill. But I guess for me this year, I've just been focusing on understanding what's going on, because I can get a little bit distracted by some of these experiences too. I'm not going to say ADHD or anything like that. Don't like them labels. I've just got a very vivacious curiosity. My little curiosity tendrils are constantly out there. It's been a good thing to rein in, actually. And these practices have allowed that. I've got much more energy, mental energy especially. You start reining in the mental body in the early stages, especially if you've got a busy mind, you'll find that you'll start having more energy, and you'll be much more aware of, how your internal resources are allocated to certain sort of functions. And these are good skills to have. Okay. So yeah, setting yourself up for a failure the night before, unless you want to do some lift some heavier weights. I'm going to have a giant meal at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm going to go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. Maybe stay up all night watching movies or playing spacey games or something like that. It's going to fry you. You might be able to get up and still do your practice, but you probably won't be as effective. But hey, practice is practice. As a muso, I've played to empty rooms. It's not very fulfilling, but stuff can still get done. It's a paid rehearsal. And I think back in the day, we might have got a bit of a bar tab. It's usually pretty small, to be fair. If you're starting off as a pub band or something like that, the venues aren't necessarily all that generous. Not in the metropolitan areas. Once you go outside of town to the rural areas, they really look after you. I haven't had a lot of experience in the rural areas, but all my mates who are going out on tour I usually just sort of played around the local hood. I appreciate you, OG. Thank you for hanging out. Wouldn't be as much fun if I was sitting here talking to myself. Have a beautiful evening. Stay well. But yeah, so, as far as things you can do just in your day-to-day life, making sure you're feeling like you've ticked a few boxes during the day. You felt like you've done something productive. You're not left wanting, like I should have gone for that walk. Ooh. Well, if it's a bit late, don't do it, Just you just got to roll with it, and family things will pop up, situations will pop up. But there's always a way to pack in some practice, whether you're doing holographic, linear, or looping it, whatever. But yeah, I think if you're in a profession, if you're in a path of service and you're in some sort of metaphysical profession like myself, and you are, you have the luxury of time and space with it because you may be an entrepreneur or you may be self-employed, then there's ways of installing practice into your everyday life that's highly complementary. And, even if you're not a practitioner of some sort, openly, publicly, etc., there's ways of bringing in these practices into your everyday life, like, concentrating on the job at hand. It's some things you don't want to drop on your foot, so you pay extra attention to what you're doing. These are good things, right? And, being mindfully aware in a busy environment, you're crossing the road, being aware of what's going on, it's a good skill. But I think too that, walking out when you leave the house, you got to focus, right? Because you're going to be driving a car or walking across the street or navigating through a busy road. You don't want to be bumping into people or running people over or getting run over yourself. But, especially once you get those first three exercises, the mental exercises down, where you do awareness and you do focus, right? And they both come online. So you're able to be aware of the situation and able to focus at the same time. They sort of become individual things that work together. And by, when you leave the house and you've got some of these base skills down, basically, throughout the day, you're going to have all these opportunities to develop these skills. Like I said, you got 5 minutes to kill, you do some press ups, and maybe you focus on putting your mind on the life force feeling rather than on, oh my gosh, I can't do 10 press ups. Put your mind elsewhere. That's what one of the first trainings, isn't it? Like we're learning to put our mind on bodily functions and in different places within our bodies and just become aware of what actually the functions of the mind are. How we experience everyday things changes as well. That you might find that there's a particular food item that you really like, and you'll sit there and I've seen it with women who eat chocolate. Like they're the masters of the experience when it comes to that. Like they're sitting down there, they haven't got the big block, they're not just they're sitting there with the Lindt or the one of them more gourmet ones, not the cheap supermarket one, but maybe one of the flasher ones, not super flash ones, or maybe it is a supermarket type one, whatever. Anyway, they've got this little sliver or slice of chocolate, and they put it in their mouth, and they're just like sitting there with it and letting it naturally melt and find its way, and they're paying attention to it, and it's a very rich experience. So they're practicing concentration, even and through the taste gate and the smell gate. They'll smell it first. Like, man, I tell you, one of my favorite things to do is to sit there with that coffee in the morning. And it might even go cold by the time I get to drink it, but I'm sitting there and I'm just smelling it and really soaking in it. And that's concentration for the smell gate, for the olfactory, for the clear gustance, etc. And then I'll taste it, and equalize with that. But yeah, I think, on one hand, get a good night's sleep. That's helpful. Don't eat too late. Be mindful of what you eat. If you are allergic to certain foods, like, if I eat certain types of processed food products, the next day, usually, it's not good, especially breaded products. It's funny. There's some snacks, crackers I can eat that have got like, what would you call, like they've got a wheat product in them of some sort, but it doesn't affect me too bad. But generally, I just stay away from all that stuff. I think part of this journey is that you're cleaning up so many areas of your life. You're changing your decisions because you're able to have a much clearer view of what you're engaging in. You're choosing to hang out with different people now. Man, I want to hang out with the bros, but I'm not into that stuff anymore. I'm not now into the loud music or the alcohol or the smoking or the if there's alcohol involved, who knows what's going to happen. Maybe you switch from hanging out with like people who like to drink. Maybe you go hang out with the stoners instead and go, this is fun up until this point. Depends, like you kind of got to, you pick your battles, but you start cleaning things up and becoming more aware of how things affect you. And, and if things are starting to affect you, if you're fully aware that something is affecting your practice motivation, then, and that you really want this, like you've got this book, right? You've got this book. And you're like, man, this is it. I know this is it. I can just feel it in my being. And all I have to do is just sit down, read that section that I'm on, and just do that exercise and meet that criteria that's been laid out. Or maybe I'm doing the 60 skills program, or the Mark Rasmus approach, or the Mystery College approach, or, whatever, like Andre Conscientia is, he's got comments on all this as well. And there's many teachers out there, Ray Del Sol, but this is like, this is where it's at, man. This is the thing I want to do. And when I sit down and I got my book and I got my beads and I got my timer, and I set the workspace up, and I'm not going to be disturbed for a couple of hours, and I've turned the phone off, and you're good to go. And you're really looking forward to just getting into this thing. We want to fuel that, because eventually the momentum will carry itself to a large extent. But it's just about getting in them regular appearances to start with. The initiating sort of every day, you give the wheel another turn, or you give the rubber band another twist. And that will help carry you through, especially when you don't feel like doing it. And I tell you what, if you don't feel like doing it, that's when you should be like, all right, now I'm going to push through this. It's your astral body maybe going, I don't feel like doing this because of X, Y, Z reason. And your mental body's like going, silence, child. It's really liberating, truly liberating, when you can just hang up in your mental body and have a clean separation, and you can watch your astral body or your ego having a bit of a tantrum, like, I don't want to do this. And you're like going, oh, that's nice. And you're sitting up here just watching this thing, just like, go, I don't want to do this, or I don't feel like doing this, or, your physical body's going, oh, I ate too much. Well, that doesn't have to necessarily totally write off your ability to sit and concentrate on something. It's good to have, good practice. Good practice is the best practice, where you're really focused on what you're doing and you're doing things right. You're not being distracted, whether it's, your emotions, whether it's your physical, maybe you've got a bit of a sore sprain at shoulder or something. Maybe you ate something that's made you feel, oh, yeah. There's a certain type of corn chip I used to love eating. I can't eat it anymore. It just makes me sick, and I don't know why, but I think I know why. But set yourself up to win, guys. Seriously, this is, well, for me anyway, all this stuff that I talk about, right? Man, who would have told me? I wish I'd hit my dad up back in the day. Maybe I can. He doesn't have a beard anymore. I could have managed this thing. Anyway, but this stuff is, come on, this stuff's so cool, right? And there's ways for it to interplay with other things, like, even, how many of the teachers that teach this stuff that you're aware of are only doing this? But this makes up a big part of what they do, right? There's lots of toys in this book to play with. I should get a little image and just put it right about there. I'm just going to hold this up. Nope, let's put it over here, maybe. I'm going to get this camera right. This book is full of the coolest that you're going to come across, in my view. It's a really tight package. You could probably complement it maybe with some of say, John Michael Greer's Circles of Power, any of the Golden Dawn stuff. This is going to give you a really good basis. It's going to really fine tune things. It's just going to improve your life, without even getting into magic. If you look at the early exercises in that book, they're just going to help you. And it's going to be confronting, because, you've got to deal with some things head on. And that's why getting into a mindfulness practice right now it's just great. Just do it. If you're struggling with Barden, that first exercise in there is so pleasurable, when you can just sit there in a good posture and just recede, and just watch things. I had it explained to me by another teacher who I thought gave a good sort of explanation of how to do step 1 mental training. And that was essentially just to sit there with your eyes closed and just watch the phantoms and whatever pops up behind your eyelids. You're not trying to look inside your mind's eye. You're just watching You got your eyes closed and you're basically looking at the back of your eyelids and you're just paying attention to it. You're not engaging it. And I think one of the benefits of this kind of training is that when you're watching your thought trains or you're watching thoughts rise and fall away, there's probably a higher likelihood that you're going to touch them, engage them, and do something with them and take you off the exercise. Whereas starting with something simple like just watching the light activity through the back of the eyelid, you're just going to see shapes and colors and stuff that doesn't really have a meaning to it, essentially, that you're going to associate with anything. And so you can just sit there and watch it, and because you're just getting good at watching stuff happen. That's all you're doing. Step one mental train. You're just watching things rise and fall away. Yes, you do want to do this with your minds, the creations of your mind, what arises out of the mind substance too, of course. Absolutely. But even as a preliminary kind of like just getting used to just sitting there like watching, me TV, whatever your mind decides to conjure up, you can start with a layer of just watching the phenomena of the light hitting the back of your eyelids with your eyes closed. Just try it now, man. Come on. I'll sit here with you and do it for a couple of minutes. It's a weird light things, little speckles and shapes maybe. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's nothing really outrageous or stunning happening. I'm not having any incredible insights. I'm not seeing the lotto numbers. I'm not seeing, well, there's lots of things I'm not seeing. What am I seeing? Well, I'm looking at something, and that's all I'm doing. I'm just looking at it. Yeah. Anyways. I like to have fun with this stuff, guys. I like to stay playful with it. I'm a big kid at heart, and I think probably a lot of us are, even if we've got families and responsibilities. Keeping the magic alive in our own lives is really important, because a lot of that also filters out to other people's lives too. And, maybe we're not talking about this stuff openly with other people, and that's in a lot of cases probably good, because most people wouldn't understand. And you don't want to derail yourself either by seeking to get desirable acknowledgement or feedback from others who are they just know nothing about this stuff and they're not cool with it and whatever, That's why that pillar of silence, like you share it in a group, right? One example of this would be the famous Reiki share, where, the practitioners will get together once a week and hang out and tell each other about what they've seen in that. I still have, when I run my groups, I sort of say to them, look, if you're going to share something, if you're just sharing for the sake of sharing because you feel like you need to have something to share because you need to prove to others that you're having spiritual experiences because that might be some kind of social yardstick, that's not the reason for doing it. If anything, we want to share a thing that we're interested in, that we recognize this covenant of silence, if you will. It stays inside the circle, but also, let's make it purposeful. I'm sharing this because I'm seeking to understand it more, But, as far as other kinds of low-hanging fruit goes, and you've probably heard me say this on other lives and that. Oh, hang on. We've got a comment here. Still do the charge the water technique from Barton. Oh, yeah. Martin Folks said this beautifully once. He said, if you're not charging your food and your water and everything you put in your mouth, even the air to an extent, it's a missed opportunity. If you're snacking all day and doing things while you're snacking, missed opportunity, but whatever. If that's how you roll, that's how you roll. I've got to have at least one meal a day where I sit and I'm just fully focused, and people know, please don't interrupt me while I'm eating. I just want to sit in silence and eat my meal, and I'll put my intention into that food, impregnate it with my wish. And nowadays it's it's a fair amount of Kabbalistic work. So, not trying to put too many things in there, because some things can effectively cancel themselves out of it too. And Barden says this quite, explicitly. He says, doing too many things at once. Just make it one thing at a time. You've got to learn to crawl before you walk, before you run, before you ride a bike, before you go parkour off high buildings, these kinds of things. Because you got to know, punching above your weight means you might get a nasty. You might have a whoopsie. But there's nothing wrong with pushing yourself, expanding and stretching yourself a little further than you used to. I mean, essentially, that's what we're doing here. We're trying to concentrate for longer. We're trying to, be mindful and hold vacancy of mind for longer. We want to feel that water element like, oh, like, oh my gosh. And then we want to be able to dial the intensity up and down as well, But these are all capacities we're building, and they're not so obvious. It's not like the guy that goes to the gym that everyone's like, bro, killer abs. Man, those pecs. What about leg day, bro? I'm kidding. I think even just having this conversation with everyone right now about, practice momentum and how we can fuel it and fuel our desire for practice. I mean, the practices should be exciting enough as they are, Where is these things taking us? They're taking us to fantastic experiences, And part of it is that, this is not just like sporadic, spontaneous experiences that happen when they wish to. This is about us taking command of our experience and, stepping into the role of the magus as someone who has command over their experience. And this is exciting, and it can be a bit nerve-wracking as well, because you recognize that there's certain things that are going to come up on this path that may be a little bit, take a bit of adjustment and getting used to. And I've had some of those. I'm sure some of you guys have too. There's things that pop up in your awareness. It might be a feeling, or it might be a very visual experience. You may have a visitor and you don't know what to do, and it's a little bit off-putting. Just I think a crucial aspect of this is to be able to sort of have something challenging in front of you and not be shaken by it, not be perturbed, if you will. You're able to just have this thing in front of you or present, could be a sight, smell, sound, or something like that, and just be able to observe it, without it affecting you in a negative way, or even at all. Becoming the master of your experience means that you can call on these frequencies or these flavors of reality, as you choose, as you wish, as you will, and also to turn things on and off within your sense gates, So obviously in the early training in Baden, we're training the sense gates with smells we like, smells we don't like, with visual things, with heard things, with tasted things, with felt things. And the more we stretch those muscles, the more we can turn them off and turn them on. So you've got vacancy of mind, right? What about vacancy of feeling? Like you don't feel anything. You can turn off your feeling gate. Why would you do that? Why would you? Okay, I don't want to feel anything. Well, physiological noise can be problematic in the meditative process. So, like, especially if you want to go out of body, you basically just want to occupy your mental body. But if you've got your other two bodies making all this noise, they're going to seize you, capture you, hold on to you because you're aware of them. You kind of just want to turn things off. So, and, when you move into the mental body, like really cleanly occupy it, there's no sensation there anyway, unless you it's a unless it's a spirit-based sensation type, activity, like you're doing visualization of, feeling water or, these types of things. But essentially you have this, and obviously if you go to Perseus Arcane Academy and look up in their free courses, they have the 3 transformations exercise for free. 60 skills is dropped out there. Thank you, brother. Free. And you can learn that, and that is a very cool exercise. Even just playing with that and learning how to occupy cleanly and clearly and distinctively, and not be spread over these other 2 bodies. So you're either here in the vital body, or the center of gravity of the vital body. You're either here in the astral body, and you're either here, or you're here in the mental body. And like these are arbitrary sorts of geographical kind of locations, if you will. But you'll notice that, when you get into your feeling body, it seems to emanate from this area. I don't know. Maybe it's because someone told me it like that, and that's how I've just set that up in my program. Whatever. It works. It builds a scale that I can traverse. I can climb up and down. And, and I'm just sort of reflecting on it now. And I'm just thinking about how satisfying it is to be able to sort of tick off some of these exercises and go, yeah, man, I nailed that. Yeah, I can feel water. I can feel coolness. That was probably the hardest one for me, actually. And once I nailed that, it was like the toner cartridge in my printer that was empty. And so the images that were coming through were lacking on one thing. They were still passable, but they were missing something. And, you could say that water element is attached to meaning in a sense. Regardless of that, once I started getting that feeling, getting up early in the morning is great for doing water element because it's nice and cool in the mornings and it's quiet. And I'm lucky I've got a creek down the back. So I've got this kind of immersive, I can hear it. Unfortunately, I can smell it too sometimes. So when there's been lots of, when there hasn't been enough rain to wash it, because it's all runoff, it's a creek. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, there's all these ways you can sort of help to amplify these things. But what I found is, and that's what I'm saying to you, look, success is a wonderful kind of nourishment for motivation and just general desire. And once I nailed that water element down, I didn't realize that it was a deficiency. And once I got that, things started to show up in a way that I could not begin to imagine. Fire, no worries. Air, no worries. Earth, pretty good actually. Probably that was the second hardest one for me. But water, yeah, that was a challenge. But once I got it, oh man, I was wondering why some of my other practices weren't as effective. It was because I guess I hadn't topped up that level enough, or my initial kind of like, oh yeah, there it is. It was too minor compared to the others. And so you get to know, what kind of level of mastery or attainment where you're at with these 4 elements when you're doing it with the astral body. But I mean, even like the concentration exercises, when you're able to start visualizing things and things just start popping up and becoming like, wow, that's really happening. Like, it's pretty fun. And it's great that there's such emphasis put on at the beginning of the book. Like this is not an easy path, but it's generally kind of simply explained. It's, it's just going to take time, and you're going to have some natural ability, which is like choice. Yeah. But like I said in other streams, that natural ability will take you so far. And then you'll be like, ooh, you'll hit a wall and be like, oh, I was riding that natural ability, but now I have to apply some effort. All right, let's dig deep. Let's start climbing this wall. Even if it's inch by inch, every little bit of ground you gain is a little bit of ground that you gain. But I just want to hammer on this thing about, this is the funnest stuff, man. Like, I've been a muso, like I've played in front of thousands in various settings. and I've got to play, I thought, the coolest instrument. I was a lead guitarist in a rock and blues and kind of R&B kind of band. We were a hardcore band, man. Like, take no prisoners. And we were good, we were pretty good too. Like, we were a fun band, we weren't the tightest band. Towards the end, though, we were getting pretty damn tight. We played a lot. We loved music. We loved the stuff that we chose. I was picking a lot of the songs towards the end there because I was good at picking sort of good rock songs. And I was a pretty good guitar player back then. And, we just really got into it, but we wanted to keep fueling the experience. So, we were getting t-shirts and we were getting, latest albums, and we were upgrading equipment and things like that. But it was the coolest thing. And so once I moved on from that, I was looking for the next cool thing. Like, I want to have a good time while I'm here on Earth. I've got a duty as well. I can't help but be of public service. It's just encoded into me. I started my life and work in customer service. So it's just what I do, right? Help people out best I can. And I fumble and stumble along the way. But, back to the topic at hand here. If you're struggling with motivation, and maybe motivation isn't the way. Maybe you if you don't feel like doing your practice, take a different angle. Work on the mental body level. Just get your beads and just go, I will practice every day. Make it as dry and sterile as it needs to be. Basically, you can't be, at some point, if you don't feel like doing it and you've tried everything, well, just have a break, But you've got to remember, sometimes getting back on the bicycle, it may be a bit wobbly to start with. And, you've probably heard people on the Bardin, on the panel. Well, that's a pretty fun hairdo, isn't it? Almost looks like I've got a butterfly on there or something. You've heard people on the Bardin, they've talked about having a break. Okay, now it's getting out of control. You can have a good time doing this stuff. And like anything, you can even probably overdo it a little bit too. And so, you got to find a pace that works. And at different times of the year, we've got different levels of energy and, festive seasons and dealing with people and lots of things. There's lots of stuff that goes on. But yeah, I mean, ideally we're just after some results here, aren't we? We want to see progress. And one of those ways to do that is good journaling. That helps a lot. Mark your progress down and then just reread it back every day. And then at the end of the week, read through your week. You don't need to write big, long stories in your journal. Use a different journal for that. This is about recording your success with the Hermetic pathway as laid out by whoever the teacher is that you're following. And as these little gains start to become apparent, that will actually assist you. And you'll develop a sort of as Mark Rasmus would say, you'll be reinforcing a positive self-image. You will be recording success and then be reminding yourself of that success. And that in and of itself will help to uplift and propel and give you more of what you need for that thing. So, yeah. And I'll just drop this because I think it's such an underrated opportunity. And that is the Reiki precepts. Oh, don't bring up that Reiki nonsense. Oh, don't say it, Phil. Look, when you're working through this Barden stuff, and he even says it, we can have respect for all of these practices because at the core of them, there is some realness. And that includes the system of Reiki as it was put forward by the founder of the system that most people know of. And I'll just keep saying it. Those Reiki precepts, just for today, mindfulness. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm not thinking about yesterday. I'm thinking about the here and now, or the great moment of now. Barden mentions that. I mean, just for today. That's putting a front and a back on a block of time, right? So that's loosely relating to it. Then the precepts go, do not anger. You think about how many of your negative traits arise from being angry. You're angry about something, about someone, something that happened, right? Now you can get specific about it as well. But these precepts, when you roll through them, they have a kind of a flattening effect on the spiky parts of your personality. What's the second precept? Do not worry. Do not fear. How many of your negative traits are being sort of initiated by those feeling states? Be grateful. Well, it turns out that gratitude, it's sort of like a big step. Like you start with, say, something like contentment, where you're not wanting or yearning for things, maybe apart from your practice. That's a good thing. No. But you are satisfied, you're content. You don't have your mind and your desires are out there sort of in a fantasy realm where they're not actually achieving. Now, if you're doing focused visualization to help you achieve a goal, that's another story. But gratitude, being grateful for the things that you have and also the things that you don't have yet. But you kind of, you do this thing where you're grateful for, those things. That's that, what you call pay it forward kind of manifestation. The fourth precept, be true to yourself and true to your way, or be honest in your work. I mean, that just shows that you're taking care, you're focused on what you're doing, because if you do a crap job, somebody's going to have a crap thing, and that's not you giving the best of yourself or truly focusing. If your heart's not in it, go do something else. Be honest with yourself, be true to yourself and true to your way. And I think these practices also remind us to, am I actually really into this? Am I really investing the best of myself? Is somebody getting the best of me? And the last precept of Reiki is be kind to yourself and others. Be kind to yourself? Think about what that might involve. Being kind to yourself with food choices, with situations you put yourself in, the way you talk to yourself. Giving yourself an hour a day, if that's all you got, and you split it up into 2 30-minute sessions to go and work on your ability to concentrate or just be mindful of your thoughts without getting caught up in them. Because when you don't do this exercise, you can get caught in situations at work where you're having these emotionally charged reactions and it's just not helping you or anybody else or your situation. So it's almost like these are like replacements for, chemical-based sort of interventions in some ways. Some people will go and take a pill to manage these things. We can train ourselves to manage these things. In my view, that's the much higher path, rather than taking a Band-Aid that does who knows what else to you, changes your chemistry, force changes your chemistry, where you can just train yourself to do a lot of these things. And then the very last part of the last precept is, be kind to yourself and others. So there's all the stuff you do, these checks that you do on yourself before you even involve others. And that's where I think Reiki has kind of gone a bit awry in the modern age, is the precepts. I don't know how often the large majority of people actually recognize the value of them as being a conditioning tool, so that, pardon me, you're not essentially like, part of your job of doing healing work is not to basically pass any of your crap onto other people, because there can be, if you're dealing directly with energy work, like hands-on, like you haven't learned how to pull it out of the ether or the akasha, or in this case of this, it would be the ku, K-U-U, I think it is in Japanese. That's their name for the void. The other one is mu, which is, just emptiness. There's going to be some kickback potentially, depending on what the situation is and who the person is. But, you're probably going to want to go and do some spiritual hygiene. You might need to sage yourself in your bed in the room and do the washing, use the water element to strip all the negativity off, and go and sit out and breathe in nature for a bit. This is before you see your next client, because you don't want to be passing stuff around. like the nasty little sort of non-physical things that you might take on, because if you're going to get in the muck, you're going to get a bit of stuff on you potentially, and you got to be conscious of that, especially if you're operating as a professional. You don't want to be, someone comes to you for a healing and they leave feeling worse than what they came in. Although, to be fair, sometimes the healing process involves flaring things up and bringing things to the surface. So that goes into another conversation. Oh. It's not you guys. It's not you. It's me. Cheers. Oh my gosh. It's nearly 3 hours. Well, I'll stick around to the end of the third hour. But yeah, are any of you guys out there doing any healing work? Either, just part of your walk, or maybe you're doing it professionally, or you've done some healing work. You got any hot tips or suggestions? Or maybe you're at a stage in the book where you came across a great challenge and you found a way to overcome it that you haven't heard anyone talk about. Share it in the chat, or even better, maybe start a YouTube channel, or jump on a Substack and get a newsletter going, and then go and share an article that you made in some Friends Bar and Facebook groups and say, hey, I found this problem and this is how I got over it. Because a lot of that, the future is going to be that. It's going to be YouTube videos or videos of people explaining how they overcome difficulty. The AI is going to be good to a point, but it's basically just going to farm from a field, whereas the creative opportunity that lays within the human potential is going to be able to pull from the creative wellspring and come up with things that haven't maybe been mentioned before or explained in a different way. And I think we'll find the limits of AI, and we are already, in various ways, but, it'll become more and more apparent as we are. Yeah, it's good for this, but it's not that great for that. I need to do some healing. I want to work with archangels for that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think having some help, asking for help, like if you're, if you're going to work with people, sometimes you can get, you can call in the friendly forces to help you out, because this can be a type of a training for you as well. And this is it's probably might be one of the, it's funny. Like I think about what we're talking about on this channel and in this live stream, and I'm like, this is probably the more woo-woo end of the stick. And it's like, bro, it's all woo-woo. But it's functional. So reality is that non-dual light beings are your best friend when you don't want to cop potential negative karma for helping someone out, because they're above all that, and you can just ask for their help. I definitely want to rock a prayer, make the space nice and sacred and clean, and ask for help, and be very specific about how you ask. There's many ways to do this, but some people aren't really supposed to be healed. What makes me say that? Because I've had people come in and they have a great experience. They get the result, or they get a large result, even from like one session. And then they'll come back the next time because, wow, you did such a great job last time, Phil. I want you to do the same again. And they get no result, or they get some other result that's great, but it's not really what they bought the ticket for, if you know what I mean. But then they'll say, what's funny is that problem that I came to you for, that, maybe it was a little less sore, or I was able, like it, but it stuck around. You know what? that thing ended up being quite fortuitous or quite benevolent or quite handy because of the limitations it placed on me. I wasn't able to walk as fast, or I wasn't able to climb that thing, or I wasn't able to engage with that person for whatever reason. That limitation actually allowed for something else to happen. And I hear stories about this. I hear stories about people who get really unwell. And then it turns out, and it's not pleasant, but it turns out that it means that they can't do this other thing. And it turns out that if they did that other thing, it could have been a lot worse, in a much more stickier way, perhaps, or something that left a mark or a scar or a stain or something that stuck around for a long time. So these interventions, I think that's why I have to say, after years of doing this kind of work, I really encourage anyone that comes to see me to get into some kind of meditation practice. At the very least, get them to, examine their lives, because as ego-strokingly fulfilling as it is to see someone have a really surprisingly awesome outcome, and then finding out that, this happens to them regularly because of actions they keep doing. Why do I continue to do this to myself? Why do I keep doing this? It's like, bro, we need to sort that out, because I love seeing you, but you keep hurting yourself. And I mean, it's even brought up in the story of Ray Key in the narrative story. He comes down from the mountain, he starts healing people, and he's like, man, this is great. Well, he was already healing people, but now he can really heal people. So now he's like out on the street, and he's got this torch that you can see it in the daytime, but essentially he's there, and it's highly symbolic. And he's drawing all the homeless people and the poor people and the people who are broken and sore and all that, who can't afford to maybe go see their local medicine person. He's just out there on the street offering street healings. People are getting great outcomes. They're like, wow, man, I can do my jumping jacks again. I'm being silly here. Or I can play my violin again, But the problem is that he found that people would just go back going back to doing the things that were causing the problems in the first place. Man, this mustache is getting itchy. It's a new thing for me, an itchy mustache. So what he did was, he's like, I mean, it's great, but it's like, you're doing this because you want people to do well. And then, because the more inspired and well people there are around, that has a flow-on effect in society. And wouldn't that be nice if everyone was doing well, or just at least doing a bit better? So that's when he started up the school, and he had started attracting people that wanted to learn and practice. And I think that's kind of like the general trajectory, is that, if you want to really help out here, guys, leave something behind for others and even for yourself in the next life. Bob at 60 Skills talks about it. He's like, man, I don't want to have to search for 30 years again. I want something waiting for me when I come back. Hopefully it'll be here. I'd like to think that the bro's putting in so much work that, he's basically setting that up for himself for the next time round. But yeah, I mean, that's it, right? Sharing our experience so that the coming generations can benefit, so they don't have to rebuild the wheel. All right, let's have a look here. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. I appreciate you guys. Hit that subscribe button, please, so you can stay updated. And also because I'm always interested to see the subscribe numbers fluctuate. It's funny, all of a sudden I might have 5 or 6 less subscribers, and I'm like, I don't smell that bad, do I? But I've got other friends who run YouTube who have similar experiences. I'm not trying to get conspiratorial here or anything, and I appreciate you guys choosing to press that button. You can hit the join button too if you want to take it to the next level. It's up to you though. Substack's good. Oh, Substack. I got to do a bit of maintenance on there. I've been a bit slack on it. if anything, I'm just kind of pointing people there. There's a whole bunch of content on there and some stuff that you won't find anywhere else. I've got blogs on there. And I've even put for those of you who are paid members on Substack, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. It makes it possible, actually, in a lot of cases, for me to keep creating this content for those who aren't maybe in a position to afford. I'll just keep making the stuff anyway, but I wrote an article for those people who are paid. So thank you. Yes, indeed. Peace and blessings. It's a wonderful notion, isn't it, to think about? This is a good time of year too, isn't it? To wish people well. The end of the year is like so crazy. Everyone's getting ready for their big day or their holiday, and there's still a lot of pressure on. This should be a time when everyone's probably relaxed, but they're setting up a thing so they can relax. I get that. There's kids involved, and there's end of year things and sports events and prize givings and the last game of the year, and you're in a hurry to catch up with everyone before the end of the year for some reason. I've got to catch up with them before Christmas. Okay. But these things are real. They're happening, and we feel the pressure and the stress in society. So, what can we do as practices? Well, we can just maintain that unshakable equanimity, equilibrium, equipoise. Yeah, just be the chill, be the emanators of chill. Help keep the place sane and keep the boat nice and steady. If you want, maybe you want to rack things up. Yeah, come on, let's go. Let's get this thing done. Whatever. But yeah, I think I'm pretty much done, guys. We're nearly 3 hours in. We've got a few minutes left, I think, before the stream will close down. So if anyone's got any questions, comments, queries, anything they'd like to mention or get some feedback on or whatever, please drop it into the chat. Maybe it's on that side. I don't know. Depends on what you're watching it on. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys hanging out, and thank you for those of you who have chosen to either subscribe or join my Substack or become a member. And, I appreciate all the support that I get here, even if you're just watching this right now and taking value from it. So, yeah, it's looking pretty quiet out there. I think I might call it a night. It's almost nighttime. It's still pretty light outside, but that's what happens when you live sort of towards the southern pole. You guys are the best. Actually, I've got one I can share on this, actually. Where are we? I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being with me. I wish you a beautiful rest of your day, wherever you are. Have a good night's sleep or an excellent day. If I don't see you, I'm going to do my best to get on here again soon, actually. It's been over a week since I was on here last. But however long it is before we connect again, I wish you a beautiful, beautiful time, however that's spent. If you are with family and friends, whether they're at ease or in a difficult situation, I send peace and blessings to you all. And I sincerely wish you all a beautiful festive season and holiday season, Christmas season, however you choose to celebrate it. And so from New Zealand, from Auckland, from my little village in Auckland, I want to wish you all the best. And I will see you all again very soon. Stay well, and thank you so much. All right, guys. We'll talk again soon.